Today in episode 2, we'll be chatting a bit more about fonts and high definition images. What I'll be doing is just opening up Canva again, and this time more specifically going through 2 different designs. So the first design is a good one, and the second a not so good one. And what we'll do is we'll unpack each individual element in terms of the fonts and the images used, and just kind of discuss what we do want to move away from and what we think we should be doing in each visual. So stick around with me and we'll open up and see what we can do. Thank you for joining me in another episode, and I hope everybody enjoyed episode 1. So let's dive right into it. Alrighty, so as you can see, I do have Canva open as per usual, and this time I'm open straight up on one of my designs. So for today, we'll be focusing on 2 different examples of designs, and slowly I'll just be running through each element, first being the font, second being the images, and third being the logo. And then we'll go through everything together just in terms of placement and layout. So as you can see over here, we are kind of focusing on something that would maybe be a social media post or a quick little ad for an agent. So what I've done over here is firstly to focus on the font. We've made sure here that the font is quite an easily readable font. So it's placed on a background that complements the colors. There's no curls involved. There's nothing like thin lines or anything that's difficult to read. We've made sure that when there's a darker background, the text is a bit lighter. And when there's a lighter background, the text is a bit darker, just so we can make sure exactly what we're trying to say. A lot of the time, fonts may seem like just a quick design decision, but often it actually helps us to portray a certain tone. So if it's something like this ad that is more formal, a bit more serious, informative, you can see that I've used quite a corporate font as opposed to something like a cursive font or a overly sort of design font that involves a lot of shapes or colors. We've kept it quite simple and just tried to align it with the messaging that we're trying to put across. Next, I'm going to hone in here on the image and focus over there. So of course, this is just an internet generated image. It's not a real agent. It's just a quick example for us to use. But what I've made sure to do here is to include a high quality image of our agent. So there's nothing worse than when you see an advert or a social media post and the images are of a poor quality. Immediately, that kind of represents that there's been a lack of effort, that we haven't spent long enough on the design to make sure that it's good enough to post, or to make sure that we really want it to seem like we've put effort into this design. So over here, as I said, just a generated image, but it's always recommended to use high quality images, just once again to kind of go with the messaging we're putting across. So we want someone to see this ad and see this face and this image that they can add to the name and think to themselves, okay, well, this person's put a lot of effort into their design. They really focus on social media. They really want the right messaging to kind of be put across. And the same thing goes with the background image. So you don't always have to use a background image, but when you do, once again, we just want to make sure that it's nice and high quality. There's no pixelation, there's no little dots, there's no sort of images that are hard to actually see, because once again, that kind of takes away from the whole advert. So if we open up an image that immediately is exceptionally pixelated, it takes away from what we're trying to see. We might immediately just be distracted, and an audience can just scroll out and 10 to 1 probably not even take in what you were trying to say or convey with your message. Once again, if we use images in listings, pictures of listings, whether it's uploaded onto Property24 or whether it's uploaded onto your social media, maybe a housing image that's generated from the internet, just as part of an advert or any social media post. Again, we really want to make sure that we've downloaded this image from a reputable source. And that comes back to using Canva. And once again, another awesome benefit is that there are actually loads of pictures for you to access just right there on the Photos or Images tab. Moving away from images, I'm going to focus here in this design on the Only Realty logo. Once again, we really want to make sure that our logo is top quality. So upon request, we are easily able to provide loads of different Only Realty logos, including our hello, a grayscale version, a white version, a black version. So any different design you're doing, there is definitely a high quality and high resolution logo to match. We really want to make sure, again, that this logo is visible, it's easily seen, so that there can be an immediate element of brand recognition. So we don't want the logo to be too small or hidden away behind something. That way, we won't even be able to realize that this is an advert by Only Realty. So we really want that maroon color to be sort of a main focus in our design, try and create some immediate brand awareness so they can see before they even see the logo, oh, wait a second, this looks like Only Realty. That will really serve us well, because if everything we post can be nice and consistent, immediately people will start becoming very familiar with our visuals and be able to spot them a mile away. So this being the first design that I've focused on is, I would say, an example of quite a good advert, something that portrays all the right messaging. It's got the contact details, it's got the agent's name displayed very nicely in bold, as well as a good quality image of the Only Realty logo. What we'll do now is skip to a second image where we can discuss the elements a bit further and use this as a bit of a worse example than the first one. Alrighty, here we go. So once again, let's start off with the font. So in this advert, we are actually trying to portray something that is, like I said, a bit more formal, it's informative, it's professional. And using a font like we have at the top there where it states, "Let me help you." This font is not one that is very professional or formal. So this is more a design font. It's kind of resembles children's handwriting. This might be much better suited on, a child's artwork or an art piece, or a visual used perhaps for a creche or a finger painting advert, a finger painting class, but definitely not on an Only Realty visual that we'd like to post. So right there, I think it would be a lot better to focus on something like the previous advert that is just very easy to read, very formal, modern, thin lines, and quite easy to make out. Next up, we'll move on to the font at the bottom with our agent's name. Once again, if you are doing something like working or you're in the car and this advert quickly pops up, not that we should be looking at our phone, but in the event of something like that, this is not very easy to read and not very easy to take down and remember. So the James at Only Realty, once again, of course, just an internet generated image. This is not a real agent. It's not easy to make out, and as I said, not easy to remember. So it kind of blends in with the background. The weird thin lines in between the text just blend in with our white background. It's not bold, it's not bright, and it's not really easy to remember or read. And then lastly, again, we'll focus on the imaging. So again, this image of this agent is definitely a very poor quality. As I said before, this might all seem like it's just a quick decision, or if you're in a rush and you're trying to create something, you just want to post it online and get it out there. But this sends the wrong message across because it looks exactly like that. It looks rushed. It doesn't look like this agent put a lot of effort into his post or his advert. It looks like he just took something that might be quite an outdated image and used that as opposed to something more relevant and recent. And then, of course, the Only Realty logo as well. It's very pixelated. You can see that this was probably just downloaded from the internet. It was not saved in vector format or in PNG format, where we can really just read it easily. And to be honest, I think the whole design just looks a little bit sloppy. I think we can all agree with that. We can all agree that something like the first design is a lot better to put across and try and help your audience or your prospective clients remember you by, as opposed to something that just seems like it was quickly rustled up and not much effort was put into that. So again, I'll just do a side-by-side example of something like the first image. Clear fonts, easy to use, our colors complement each other, we've got high quality, and then something like the second one, which is really something we want to avoid. Right, so diving back into your images, I just wanted to show you guys again over here that we've got access on the left-hand side to all of the images that we'll need. I am on the pro version, so I do have access to a bit more, but even on the free version, you have loads of images to choose from of properties, of homes, of interior design, of decor, views, landscapes, really anything you can imagine. There is a good enough variety for you to choose from, and you shouldn't have to be stuck where you use bad quality images. So we don't want to be going onto Google and searching something and saving it from there, because we'll never achieve the desired outcome. We'll never get an image that is really clean and high quality that puts a good message across. A second option for you to always remember is that if you can't find an image in Canva that you like, once again, let's avoid Google, but there is a really nice website that enables us to download loads of PNG options, which are all high quality. So I'm going to open up a second tab over here, and I'm going to lead you guys to unsplash.com. As you can see, it just pops up over there. We'll click and go ahead. Once you open Unsplash, it says here right there for you, search free high resolution photos. So let's say, for example, we are wanting to just have an internet generated version of a home. We will give it a search and all of these images will come up right there for us to use. We can easily open something like this, download it for free, and once again, that's a great option for us to use. If we are stuck and we can't find anything on Canva, there's a second resource for us to use. So once again, we should never have to use poor quality visuals, because there are more than enough options on the internet that helps us along the way. I hope the two examples really helped, and that this has easily made it possible for us to view two exact opposites next to each other and kind of see what looks better and how we can really focus specifically on fonts and high resolution. Thank you so much for sticking around for this episode of the design series, and I'll see you guys next week with another one.